Oh, it started. It's recording. Hello, hello. Good morning. Today's 8/10, 10th day, second year, blah, blah, blah. Wanted to make a quick video about, I can't call it small things because I've already done that. Maybe small things too. But, just as a milestone where I am here. But this morning I got up, and this is the way I am when I get up. Okay, this is me, no makeup, whatever. This is the way I look now. This is my, I don't know what you call it, all natural, prime state. I don't know what you call it. But, and for the record, you can see that there's no foundation on. I know I've messed with this light before and feel like I look peachy. You know, if I turn it off, you'll see that's daylight. So, I don't know. Anyway, but yesterday afternoon, last night, my daughter said to me, I want to reorganize your makeup. And I said, okay, sure. And she did. She went through and organized every shade of nail polish by color and the lipsticks by tone, it looks like. And I have all the eyeshadow. I mean, all my stuff is now like organized better than I could do it. And I guess I wanted to just, again, kind of put a mile marker, for all the fears that I had several years ago about being accepted or not accepted, and what would my daughter think, and all of those fears. That's what they were. They were fears. That's not to say they weren't valid, but I just want to, if you express, I'm concerned about blah, 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 and then I think it's cathartic to come back afterwards and say, you know what, it wasn't as bad as I thought, or, and maybe the next in your life, in your journey, your transition, your journey, you may come across something and you're like, oh, I'm so worried, I don't know how it's going to go. And then, maybe you're like, well, you know what, something happened similar to Robin and things seem to work out for her. I'll try it or not. It's up to you. But I thought that was kind of interesting again. And so that was yesterday. Made me feel really good. And then today, about 20 minutes ago, as I was taking a break and going for a walk and getting my steps and everything, and I'm 282 today, by the way. That's my weight. I'm very happy. It's my plateau, 282. I'm going to break it. I want to break the plateau. But there's a family that moved in across the street, and I don't know the exact time frame. I can't remember if they were there like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. I remember they had a dog at one point that had gotten out. It was about 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago. And I went over there and helped the husband chase down the dog, me in beta mode. And so I interacted with him that way, male to male, etc., etc. And so I was kind of curious, as time has progressed, how did they... I always kind of felt like, if I saw them sitting on the porch and they had a friend over, I could kind of imagine in my mind, they would have this conversation about, see that person across the street, that's not a woman, that's actually a guy, But today, as I walked past the house, they called me over. It was the mom and the grandma, because they have a little boy who's grown up. And I said something to them. I said, boy, your son is really getting big, And they were like, oh, yeah, they did. And she said, oh, by the way, what's your name? I see you every day, and I always say, what is her name? And I said, well, my name's Robin. It's good to meet you, and you are. And we did all these things. And, she did like 3 pronouns on me, like, she, her, blah, blah, blah. It's good to meet you. And we chatted for a minute about her husband and her life and everything. And so, again, it was that fear, and I wanted just to say the reality is, I'm very happy to say, acceptance. And, it makes me feel very, as Julie would say, namaste, my normalness, which I'm sorry, Julie. But you know, it's one of those things that's just it affirms, and that's what I found a lot this year. I would say for my second year, if the first year is somewhat chaotic because you're changing every day and you're different, the second year I have found to be very affirming. You know, I made the right decision. I'm doing the right thing. It's we're heading into fall, and fall. I love fall. I love the colors. I love the clothes. I love cardigans. I have a weakness for cardigans. I always wear skirts, but you know, and it dawned on me that you know, with a cardigan or a jacket, you put it on and it fools the eye somewhat. You know, if you think about a you know, a male body as kind of a no curves, you know, you put that on and it kind of pads out a little bit, and I think mentally it fools the eye for the other person. They kind of fill in the blanks. You know, it covers up where your hips would be. It, you know, covers up your arms. You know, I had really, really, really hairy arms, and I think I still have, you know, big arms and big shoulders. But you know, again, I'm very leery of dresses, for example, because of the, you know, it's slimming, and I'm thinking if I wear like a cardigan, then again it fools the eye. So that's my little tidbit. But anyway, so very, very short. It's just cool. It's like I said, this year has been very, very affirming, very, very affirming. And the other thing I would say is, you know, I'm still changing. The other day, yesterday, I got in the car and I put on the seatbelt, and it brushed against my breast, and it gave me that feeling. You know, I'm like, okay, growth spurt. You know, growth spurt imminent. You know, and you know, it's one of those things. We're still changing, and I think I tried to get that out in a video the other day, and I don't think I did a very good job about it, but. Someone had once said to me, YouTube had one video had once said, you know, the person you are when you start your transition is not necessarily the person you are when you end your transition. And so, you know, that's kind of a hard concept to wrap your mind around, especially if you're in a relationship with someone and you're married and you're like, you know, married to a woman, and you're like, you know, well, I'm still going to be the same person on the inside. You know, and in a way that's kind of true, but you know, I know I repressed a large part of my personality that now is out. And if that chemistry is different than what it was initially, you know, you can understand if this person over here says, you know what, I can't, I like you, but I don't love you. You know, and they have to do their own thing and you have to do your own thing. It's cool if you can be friends. You know, I'm kind of envious of that, but in the same way, I'm trailblazing my own path, you know, as a woman here doing this, and I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to be where I was before. But and maybe it's easy for me to say that because it's not an option. You know, my ex went, hell no. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, so that's my video for today. Just a couple of small things too. Very affirming and very, very happy. Very, very happy. You know, again, that was always a concern of mine. I always joked that I looked like Uncle Fester. You know, not Joe Dorita. Joe Dorita was a stooge. Oh man, Jackie, Uncle Fester, the original Uncle Fester from the TV show. You know, I can't think of his name. It was Jackie something or other. And, you know, that was the way I felt. And I felt like, you know, well, if I was to become a woman, I would be ugly. And, you know, we own who we are. You know, and I think that can be kind of an obstacle for someone who's thinking about transitioning. They're like, oh, well, I'll never pass. And, you know, I almost hate to sound like a know-it-all, but, you know, if you're concerned about passing, I wouldn't do it. You know, I wouldn't do it. And I only say that because well, maybe maybe I shouldn't make a general statement like that, but you know, I know for myself, I'm blazing my own trail here. You know, I'm not doing this to fit in. I'm not doing it to be accepted. I'm definitely more integrated in the world around me as a woman. But you know, if I was waiting for everyone to accept me and love me, and you know, no, I wouldn't. As it turns out, like I said, rewind this video about 6 minutes. The people around me accept me, you know, and that's very affirming. But that was not a condition of my transitioning, and I'm very thankful that I do have that, because I see posts on Facebook and YouTube and everything. You know, people don't accept me, and it is a potential, you know. But you know, I've heard a couple things that, you know, again, I don't want to transition because I'm worried how I look, or I'm worried how I'm sound. And yes, I agree, that can be a stumbling block, you know, but to be your authentic self is awesome. And the other thing, and I'm sorry if I'm running over a little bit today, is there's a bit of I don't want to call it a second death, but I've encountered, like when I started my transition, and if you watch the videos, maybe like my 10th video to my 40th video, and I was trying to disguise my voice somewhat, you know, I had developed this persona that was somewhat, it was more authentic than what I was, but I was still a work in progress. And that persona survived until I went full time, you know. And I went to work the first day, and it was, my boss said, you know, it's so nice to see you. And I was like, oh, it's so good to be here. I'm so very happy. And he's like, is something wrong with your voice? You know, you're not talking the way I expect you to. And you're like, this is my new voice. And oh, it's so very nice to meet you. Well, you know, that they say no plan survives contact with the enemy. And for me, the persona didn't survive contact with reality, you know. And so I think, again, for someone, myself especially, someone who goes through it and maybe starts off in a chat room on the internet. I started off on IRC when I was in college, and you know, you chat, you know, hugs, oh, it's so nice, you know, it's good for what's purpose. But eventually you grow out of it and you're like, okay, I want more than this. I want more. I want to interact with reality. And part of that is a death of that persona. You know, as the male skin rotted and you're more authentic, I think that intermediary step also dies. And maybe that what might mean by the person who said the person you are at the end of your transition when you go full time is not necessarily who you are at the start, you know. And I think to be ready for that second death, you know. And I know a couple folks who, you know, they're stuck in the chat room, they're stuck on the online presence, and they're afraid of the real world. And I hope they can overcome that, because, you know, there's no substitute for being who you are 24/7 at work, at the grocery store, when you're walking around the block and people across the street say, hey, come on over and talk to us and visit, you know, that kind of interaction. And for me, the next step is going to be a relationship with someone, male or female. You know, I lean more towards male because I want to try it. But you know what I mean? Again, if it's a bit of safety to say I can't do it because I don't, you know, I'm worried how I'm going to look, or that intermediary persona. And I'll use another example here, and I don't mean to, I'm not picking anybody out specifically, but you know, when you cross dress, when you're over here, you're starting out and you're in that initial phase and you're cross dressing somewhat, your women's clothes, and maybe you have breast forms and a nice wig and everything, and you look fantastic. And I've met people who like pass when they're haven't even started hormones yet. But then there's a bit of reality, that second death. Well, you know, women's breasts are not perfect. They're not that teardrop shapes that you get from a breast form. And real hair, you know, it looks different, it feels different. And again, you're not going to have that perfect, wig look. What I would assign almost to like a drag queen, where they look beautiful, and that there's that death of that stage, and you're this person, maybe at the end. I don't know. I'm still exploring. I'm still figuring it out. So that's my video for today, and I would wish everyone good luck wherever you are in your journey. And you may not even be transgender. You may stumbled across this, Lord knows how. So, goodbye, everybody. Have a good one.